let's just hit the first bullet point there on my notes here that we'll start with, which is Colt Nichols, Benny Bloss.
You might as well just say Team Beta.
Team Beta.
They did
Beta.
Beta.
They did their release, like, what was it, 2 days ago? They had their actual formal video release.
Yep. Okay. How many races does Benny actually make it to before he gets hurt? Does he make it to A1?
Yeah.
Okay. So he makes it to A1. Yeah. How many beyond that?
Well, to me, Benny, and this is exactly what I was going to say about him, is like he lacks heart, I feel. And
maybe.
And he also looks like he's riding a freaking tricycle out there. But
well, that's just being a big dude.
But I don't know if this whole program he gets to reinvent himself. He's a factory team that's brand new and gets a lot of input on what needs to be done. And I think that stuff could all be an advantage to him. But as far as making it all the rounds, like he still has to prove that to all of us. He hasn't made a full season yet, and if something does go haywire for him, he's pulling off.
Mm-hmm.
And for you fantasy people, if you play fantasy, you know. You know.
You know.
And you also know that he has speed.
Yep.
So he's one of those guys, for me, I'll chalk it up. If he can make every single round, then that's a win for him.
Okay.
I say he makes all 8 rounds, all the mains, and then bows out for 5 and then rounds off. I think that there's 2 points that you could look. I guess there's 2 things you could look at. New team. Are they going to put it on him to test the bike and develop it? Or are they just going to be like, well, Betty, that's not your strong suit. Like, Colt's really good at that. We know he was doing that with Honda. So it could go either way. If they don't put that pressure on him, I think they just give him the freedom to do whatever he wants. Like, hey, go ride, go be a professional racer. But I think if they start putting pressure on him to develop the bike as well, I think that's where Benny might crumble a little bit. Because I totally agree. Benny is one of the most naturally talented dudes out there. Like, you watch him when he's on one, it's pretty to watch. Yeah. But he doesn't have the heart in it, and I think part of that too comes from the fact of he doesn't have to do this to make, like, his family has money. And that's all I'll say. So I think he makes all the mains for the first 8 rounds. Something happens during the week, he crashes, something goes wrong in practice. He bows out for a few rounds, finishes out the series. But I think it's really going to depend on, are they going to put it on him to develop the bike, or are they just going to be like, nope, Colt, that's your job, Benny, just go race. Because mentally, I think that could crumble him if there's pressure on him to make that bike better.
Okay.
Because I don't really think that's something that's not a strong suit for him.
Yeah. Look, man, if he makes it more than 5 rounds this year, I'll be impressed, to be honest with you. Oh, and that's throughout the entire 17 rounds. Are they going outdoors? Does anybody know?
No,
I would imagine they are.
Okay.
I think this is a full
big program.
Yeah. I'm just talking Supercross right now. Who knows with outdoors? I'm going, if he makes it 5 rounds, I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Does he make the mains in those 5 rounds?
I don't know. It's going to be tough when you start looking at the list.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I think so, but Benny's so prone to crashing. Even if he doesn't hurt himself, he's so prone to crashing. And with the list of dudes that we have here alone, not counting any of these fast privateers or like way other off the wall teams, I mean, dude, you can't go down. You're going to have to get a start and
the LCQs are going
to
be brutal this year. The LCQs are going to be brutal.
You're going at least for the first 3 rounds.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to be. And I know he's a friend of the show. Moran's and yank a start and just be consistent.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. What about Colt?
Colt Nichols, I think he brings a lot of value to that team just because of his testing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, beta, however, somebody clarify that for us. But
beta.
I think he has a much bigger role in that team than just a rider, especially with the testing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's in there for him to be around top 10 kind of guy. We all know Colt Nichols is super talented, has a title to back it up. He was clearly better than Christian Craig the year he won that title.
He was better. You could argue he's better than everybody that year.
100%. And
at least in Supercross.
Man, I just hope this is the reset that he needs. I feel the team environment, which is really important.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the team environment fits his mold where he can have a little less stress on him as far as like going out to perform, and more of his stress is like building this team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah.
I think for him, that's a good mindset to go out and be okay if you're not winning or getting 10th or whatever, but be okay with the value of you're making this bike better, you're making the team better, and you're making this manufacturer a manufacturer that's here to stay in the sport. So
I think this year will be better for him strictly because we got a 2-year deal now.
Yeah.
There's no question. There's not, I'm only riding Supercross and then I got to try to find something. No. It's he's set for 2 years, which I think will bring a calmness to him. I think last year, like the Honda was obviously a great ride. Yeah. No questions asked. But I believe with the kind of uncertainty of like, what the hell am I going to do after this? I think that might have screwed him up a lot and made it kind of like plus he was coming in hurt. Then he got re-injured. He wasn't riding during there was just a whole bunch of factors where I think if he comes in healthy, he at least stands a chance this year. And what I mean by chance is I think he's one of those guys that puts it in the main basically no matter what. Like,
I'm going to be a little bit rougher on Colt, which kind of hurts me because I
really
like Colt.
Hang on. I want to make one last point before we get to you real quick is the other part about beta.
I think you're saying it right. I think
with beta.
I think it's beta.
Beta, like a beta fish.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
I think it's beta.
We'll go with beta fish.
It's fine. Whatever.
Anyway, it seems that they're lenient on the World Supercross side of things too. So if Nichols or Bloss have a shot with Rick Ware or whatever, they are open to having that conversation.
Do you think that they'll send them on their bikes though?
Next year, I bet.
Because I don't think Rick Ware
cares
what manufacturer
I think
ride.
He might be done with the whole thing.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I've seen some things about, is Nichols going to be allowed to ride at Rick Ware Supercross or whatever? And they said that was a conversation. So that is an interesting point that you bring up because I didn't even think of that. Is it going to start to evolve where some of these somewhat private teams, they provide the bike and their rider can still go ride for a different entity over there? So interesting point.
And I think just to go off on a small tangent with the World Supercross thing there, I think that whole dynamic's going to change here. I kind of said in a video I did in the offseason a little bit of like I wasn't as high on World Supercross as I was when it first came in, but I believe now there is some changes being made that are going to make it better. Like I've heard that they're going to be the fall series, at least for a while here, which I think is a really, really smart move on their part because if you can start building the following and whatever, and the rapport with people, then it's a lot easier to go, oh, well, we're going to start 2 weeks earlier. Oh, we're going to start 2 weeks early, and then start pushing into like where you have some summer rounds. But I think for right now, and I've said this before, the fact that they're going to go be the fall series, which now means, okay, now there's no
overlapping.
Yeah, overlapping with the series that everybody's involved in over here. So now that makes things a bit easier, I guess. I mean, I'm sure the manufacturers, I know you can't speak on this, are still not going to be super stoked on it, but I think there's less barriers at that point. And that's all I'm going to say on that. And we're going to move on past that.
I think Colt to start the year 12 to 15 ends the season as they get that bike to progress. And I think the only big issue with that bike is because it is a heavier bike, is getting that bike to not be a bucking bronco in the whoops. Because I guess it's a very nose heavy bike.
Interesting.
So it likes to squat a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I think he rounds out the season 7 to 10.
Okay.
I really
think he's gonna be.
I really when people start getting hurt.
If he stays,
Because let's be real, this is Death Cross. A lot of dudes are going to get hurt. It happens every year. It's literally like you can guarantee it. I mean, look at the last couple rounds of Supercross this past year. Like there was a lot of dudes missing.
Justin Hill podiumed.
Yeah, exactly. I think that as they progress that bike, I think it'll be better. But I just think that Colt is. I mean, that wrist is not ever getting better. His issues are never the issues that he has with his body are never going to get better, which is always going to limit him to this point, which is a bummer because I think had he not had that issue, I think we'd be having a totally different conversation on Colt Nichols.
Okay.
But I think that's always going to be a hindrance for him because he's just never. It's kind of like with AC. I think he's always going to have issues at the end of mains.
All right. So moving on off the beta group there.